As a teammate, there was no better. He'd put his arm around the young guy. He'd make sure the veteran was good as well. He'd talk hitting. He'd talk pitching. Heck, he might talk to himself in the corner one day. Who knows? But that's what made him great. When the organization gives out the title captain to a player, number one, there's a responsibility. Number two, you have to be the face and the voice of the organization. Number three, you have to represent your teammates and your family's name as well. I've played with some great leaders, some over there in that other dugout. Paulie was as good as there was. Competitor is what defined him. He lived up to it in every way. The biggest reason is when he was hit in the face twice and never came out of the game. One by Pavano and one by Samardzija. Friend, his work in the community and interaction with fans made him all of our friends. For all the kids here today, think about the 4 words I said: teammate, captain, competitor, and friend. That's what made this man a role model in the city of Chicago. So Paul, on behalf of all your teammates through the years, congratulations, number 14 being retired today. You, my friend, define White Sox, and today you take your rightful place among the all-time greats here in Chicago. Congrats, buddy.
Love to see a home run hitting contest between these two guys. Unfortunately, it'd have to be with a wiffle ball. You know, in 1975, our White Sox began retiring the uniform numbers of worthy, legendary players in White Sox and baseball history. And since then, 10 men have been immortalized with this honor. And right now, let's take a look back at the great players Paul's going to join today.
Luke Appling became the first White Sox player to have his number officially retired in 1975. Wearing number 4, Old Aches and Pains played 20 seasons at shortstop for the White Sox and is the franchise's career leader in games, at-bats, and hits, and ranks in the top 10 in 13 offensive categories. Appropriately, the second number retired by the White Sox was number 2, belonging to Nellie Fox. The 1959 American League MVP led the league in hits 4 times, ranks in the Sox top 10 in 11 offensive categories, including games, runs, hits, and triples. Orestes Mini Minoso had his number 9 retired by the White Sox in 1983. The 7-time All-Star outfielder amassed a .298 average in 12 seasons with the White Sox and ranks in the club's top 10 in 12 offensive categories. Luis Aparicio had his number 11 retired in 1984 in a ceremony held on Comiskey Park at shortstop, where Little Louis spent 10 seasons of his Hall of Fame career. A 9-time Gold Glove winner, Aparicio ranks second in team history with 318 steals as he put the go in the Go-Go Sox of the 1950s. In 1987, the White Sox honored 2 of the best hurlers in team annals by retiring Ted Lyons' number 16 and Billy Pierce's number 19. Lyons, a Hall of Famer, pitched an amazing 21 seasons on the South Side, using a knuckleball to become the franchise's career leader in wins, starts, and complete games, while logging over 4,100 innings. Pierce spent 13 seasons with the White Sox in becoming the franchise's all-time leader with 1,796 strikeouts while ranking in the top 10 in 9 categories. 2 years later, in 1989, fan favorite Harold Baines had his number 3 retired in ceremonies held behind home plate, where the former top overall pick so brilliantly became the club's all-time home run leader during the 1980s. A 4-time All-Star, Baines became only the 3rd major leaguer to have his number retired while still active. The number 72, worn by Carlton Fisk, was officially retired by the White Sox in 1997. The Hall of Famer played 13 seasons with the White Sox and ranks 4th in team history with 214 home runs. In 2010, the Big Hurt, number 35, Frank Thomas, became the 9th player to have his number retired by the White Sox. The Hall of Famer is the only player in Major League history to hit 300 or better with at least 20 homers, 100 RBIs, 100 walks, and 100 runs scored in 7 consecutive seasons. Today, Paul Konerko joins these White Sox legends as the 10th player in team history and 11th overall to have his number retired. Congratulations, number 14, forever, Paul Konerko.
And now, fans, what we have been waiting for, it's time to enshrine number 14 with those other Sox immortals and Jennifer. Will you and Nick and Owen and Amelia please join me right up here at the podium? And please direct your attention to the upper deck behind home plate as their family is going to count it down for the revealing of the now retired number 14.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And congratulations to number 14, Paul Konerko, and ladies and gentlemen, you'll always be our White Sox captain, and forever White Sox, Paul Konerko.
Thanks, Hawk. You're a true legend. We all know that, and to have you do that for me was great. I enjoyed all of our time together over the years, and now that I'm done, maybe, who knows, maybe we'll spend some more together. You never know. Anyhow, it's good to see you again. It's been a while. Glad we got such a good day here in May. It's not always like that, I know that, but definitely good to be back here, and I have to say that looks pretty cool. All right, let me start off. First things first here. Minnesota Twins and these guys back here, again, I appreciate it. I know I've been there as a player. These events and all that, push back your routines and all that kind of stuff. So I appreciate you guys making time for this. I appreciate you guys even being out here to watch it. That's pretty cool on your part. It's very, very class organization all the way. Every year we played against these guys and doesn't stop now. Thank you to you guys back here. I'm glad that this happened soon thereafter I was done, because I got to see a lot of the same faces I played with. I want to thank the front office of the White Sox. Has always handled me great, always been there for me with everything I needed. And that goes down to Brooks Boyer and his marketing team for not only today, but the end of the year last year, all year last year, but specifically the end, the September and the last weekend was amazing. And obviously Brooks has taken the time to know me over the years with that nice low-key, quiet entrance that I had through center field. Thanks, Brooks. The PR department, Scott Reifert, Bob Bechtel, Ray Garcia. These guys have a tough job as it is during the year, without having special events like this to deal with and to get all that straight. So I appreciate you guys. You always were good to me. Jerry Reinsdorf, I just want to say a special thanks to you. I know most players that are considered for something like this, it can take years sometimes to get one of those or one of those out there. And you've done this quickly, and I know my family and my friends up over there somewhere really appreciate it. That's it's just a cool thing. I think I feel really honored and humbled to have this done so quickly after I'm done playing. It's not something every player gets, and I totally respect that and understand it. I want to thank all the managers I had, starting off with my minor league managers. Joe Favre, Ron Renicky, John Shelby, and Glenn Hoffman. In fact, Joe Favre, Joe, step out here. Come over here. Step out under the dirt. Tip your hat. Old Joe here. Thank you, Joe. Yeah. He had the wonderful opportunity to be my first manager ever in professional baseball, 1994, rookie league baseball, and he's never been the same since. Thanks, Joe. And of course, my managers here with the White Sox, Jerry Manuel, Ozzie Guillen, and Robin Ventura. These two guys over here. I certainly wasn't always the easiest to deal with, or as Robin will tell stories of my post-at-bats comments. These guys had their work cut out for me at sometimes. It always wasn't what it looked like from the outside. And these guys always treated me well, treated me like a man, and I tried to show up and play hard for them. All my teammates that I had over the years, and there's so many. Jim Thome, obviously, one of the big ones. Very key for me to have Jimmy come in at the time he did, because I don't know if I'd be standing here if I hadn't learned what it took to be a good older player. Jimmy was the hardest working guy I've ever been around, and he prolonged my career a number of years to probably make this possible with all the insight he gave me. Thank you, Jimmy. The best. Now, a couple of guys that are here today, my hitting guys. There's two of them. I'm kind of a complicated guy when it comes to the hitting, so I needed two of them. So we got Greg Walker and Mike Gellinger. Stand up, guys. These guys were there for me the better part of my career here. With me every day and just showing me how to fight the fight the right way. Invaluable these guys were to me and are to me. Walk. What's up, baby? Not only did you show me how to wear a White Sox uniform with pride, because you did when you played here, but you showed me the difference between a hitter that puts up statistics and one that's a winning player. And more importantly, how to get there. Gelly, you're a loyal friend. Truthfully, probably the most well-rounded baseball guy I've been around in the 20 years I got the chance to play professionally. Gelly knows a little bit about everything, and he's very knowledgeable. Never said no, not once, when I asked him, can we go to the cage and hit? Never said no, never blinked. And that's a pretty amazing thing, because some of my sessions with the pain and suffering that came with it, it would be very easy sometimes to not answer the bell with some of those questions. So the fact that you never did that, I appreciate it. And I can't thank you two enough. Every player has help while they're playing the game, but I think I needed it more than anybody, certainly more than any of those guys up there, and these guys were big parts of it. When I see that stature out there, I don't really see just me. I see you two guys, you know, kind of next to it. But it doesn't look quite as glorious. One of them has an ice bag on his head. The other guy, you know, looks like he's all stressed out because it probably took 7 hours to get me to take that swing. All right. I want to say thank you to my wife, Jennifer, and my kids, Nick, Amelia, for being there throughout all the ups and downs that comes with a baseball player's life. And for being understanding that no matter how hard I try to leave it at the field, there are going to be some 0 for 4s that make their way home, and that you understood that. So I appreciate that. Okay, lastly, I'm going to end where it all began. My family, my mom, my dad, and my brother, Pete. Pete, thanks for all the support, the common sense advice throughout my career. Invaluable most of the time. A lot of times I didn't even hear it until after the fact. But you were always there leaving messages, and just really good to me the whole time, and there for me. I appreciate it. Thank you. You're one cool older brother. To my mom and dad, thanks for getting me to all the practices, all the games, everything that it takes to have a kid in sports growing up. I was there for every one of them on time, usually 45 minutes early with my dad, usually. So I learned that early in life, that early is good. And now that I have kids that are doing it as well, I understand it ain't that easy. It's a commitment, and it's not easy to do. So I thank you guys, and I love you guys. Okay. And by looking around, I think it paid off. All right. I just want to thank everybody one last time. This has been a good thing. I'm very honored to have I've always been honored, and I knew it was a privilege to wear the uniform. But now that I know, and I've experienced over the last 6, 7 months, are you there? Okay. So that's how I figured out the meaning of life. No, I'm just kidding. Anyhow, I always knew it was an honor and a privilege to put this uniform on. But to be truthful, when you're playing, no matter how much you know it, you don't know it all the way until you can't put it on anymore. So over the last 6-7 months, it kind of hits you. And now I really know to the degree that how proud I am and how honored I am to have worn this uniform in this ballpark and played hard for you guys as long as I could. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, we got 2 games today. We got one here, one over at the United Center later on. Let's go get them both.
Paulie, you'll always be our captain, buddy. Always be our captain. And this is especially gratifying to me, being a former player, to have 3 of the greatest fastball hitters in the history of the game in one place at one time. And that is Jim Thome, Paul Molitor, and Paul Konerko. These guys didn't care how hard you threw. But before we say, see you later, buddy, you need to hear it directly from some people. So let's check out this board one more time.
I'm not even going to say fans. I'm going to say friends. All my friends in this building right now. The relationship between myself and you guys, it just fit right. And I tried to earn that as best I could for you guys.
My name is Bob Malloy.
My name is Amy Wilson.
My name is Richard Torres.
My name is Seth Shore.
Richard Hanks.
Christy Kaywood.
Eddie Steineke. My favorite Paul Konerko memory.
My favorite Paul Konerko memory is Game 2 of the 2005 World Series.
Bases loaded. Paul Konerko was up the bat.
And he rips one in the left. Konerko, grand slam.
My favorite Paul Konerko memory is Game 2. When he hit that grand slam home run, this place was pulsating.
You could just hear the emotion coming out of the fans.
There's no doubt it was definitely the loudest I've ever heard it.
And he simply glided around the bases. What a beautiful moment.
I just had chills going down my body like, oh my gosh, this just happened. My whole family was over. We were just all jumping up and down and screaming. And
Chest bumping each other and high-fiving. And at that moment, we really knew that this was the time that the Sox were going to finally bring the World Series here to Chicago.
My favorite Paul Konerko memory is when they won the World Series.
My favorite Paul Konerko memory is when he gave Jerry Reinsdorf the ball after the World Series.
My favorite Paul Konerko moment is every time he re-signed with the team. He loved the city and he loved his fans, and that's why we appreciate Paulie.
Favorite Paul Konerko memory is when I was screaming Paulie and then the whole crowd screamed Paulie with me.
And I think the way that he pumped up the crowd with his presence was astonishing.
My favorite Paul Konerko memory is his last game here at the Cell. At the end of the game, he walked around the warning track and greeted every fan. It was something special.
That actually brought me to tears because that was the absolute last time we were going to see him in a White Sox uniform ever on this field. And that really hit home.
I think he really understood what he meant to Chicago and what Chicago meant to him.
Even though he was an East Coast native, he seemed like he real easily could have been like a city guy from here.
He was a hard blue-collar worker. Nothing came easy for him, and he worked at it. And you know what? That's typical South Side of Chicago.
Here first, last one now. He just seemed like a hard worker, and that's the town that we are.
The fans appreciated everything he gave us and with every hit and the way he handled himself.
Thank you for everything you did for the city of Chicago, Paulie.
Thanks, Paulie.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you for all your moments. You'll always be a Sox.
Thanks, Paulie.
Thank you, Paulie. You're the best.
Thanks, Paulie.
Thanks, Paulie. We miss you.
Thanks, Paulie.
Thank you, Paulie, for all the years you've given us.
Thank you for all the big hits, and thank you for allowing my son to see you play.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, my friend.
And so the end of an era. A moving ceremony for Paul Konerko and his family. Number 14 retired here on a gorgeous day. Kind of reminiscent of 2005 when the White Sox won that World Series in that parade. What a great day it was here on the South Side. Now the Twins and White Sox run around the corner. A new era begins. Chris Sale takes the hill against the Twins today as the Sox go for their second in a row. There's number 14. Let's hope this day, this ceremony inspires the White Sox to a great day and a great year. White Sox baseball coming up here on WGN after a break.
The Ford White Sox warm-up.
We are coming to you from the city beautiful, Chicago, Illinois, where this afternoon, WGN Sports presents White Sox baseball. It's Jose Abreu, Melky Cabrera, Alexi Ramirez and the Sox as they get set to butt heads with Paul Molitor's Minnesota Twins. Hi, everybody, and welcome. With Steve Stone, I'm Ken Harrell. Since we get set to bring you game 2 of this 3-game set, as you know, we won a very exciting ball game yesterday. We won that game. And, you know, for the last 5 years, we've had problems late in the ball game with a lead, holding it. Now it's nice to say we're tough in those late innings.
There's no doubt that the game plan seems to be relatively simple, and that is fall behind, but get the lead late, and then the bullpen makes it hold up. So last night, a sacrifice fly off the bat of J.B. Shuck. This put the Sox on top 3-2. And then David Robertson stepped up. He's been magnificent. 9 saves in 10 attempts. The team is 16-0 when leading after 7 innings, with 13 come from behind wins. And David Robertson has been absolutely brilliant. He continues to strike out almost 2 men per inning. So if the Sox have the lead late, they don't give it back.
And last time out, this young man pitching for us today was absolutely magnificent.
It was a wonderful pitching matchup. Chris Sale against Corey Kluber, last year's Cy Young Award winner, against a prospective Cy Young Award winner. And Chris Sale matched him almost pitch for pitch. He threw a brilliant ball game, as did Corey Kluber. In the end, the Sox came out on top. Chris Sale has seen this Minnesota team once before, but lifetime against them, he was brilliant. Last time out against the Indians, 8 innings, 4 hits, and a run. He struck out 7. And against the Twins, lifetime 7-2 with an ERA in the low 3s. So he's pitched against them. He knows them. And we'll see today if he can get the Sox off to 2 in a row, the first 2 games of this Twin series.
And besides Chris Sale out there on the bump, we're also retiring Paul Konerko's number 14. So sit back, relax, and strap it down. White Sox baseball coming your way. Only crowd, jam-packed US Cellular Field for the celebration of Paul Konerko's retiring number 14. And you know, I was just sitting there while we were inside the ceremony, Steve, and just thinking about Paulie when he first joined us. And it was really one of my big thrills. Of course, we've had so many good players here, not a whole bunch of great ones like the Big Hurt Frank Thomas and Paul Konerko, but just watching him mature and how he came in with such a, he was just about as hard on himself as anybody I've ever seen. And all of a sudden he sort of smoothed things out. He became a guy who had control of his emotions. Very seldom saw him argue with an umpire, you know, the whole 9 yards of it. And then for him to accomplish what he did has been one of my great joys.
You get a chance to see not only the maturation process of a great player, you get a chance to see a guy who was as reluctant a captain you could possibly have, because that's not his personality. And you can't take a captainship, a leadership role on a team, it's kind of thrust upon you. And those guys who are in that position and wear it well, and Paul wore it exceptionally well, will be remembered for their teammates, because he was the go-to guy. When there was something to be said, it was Paul who said it. He was not the most vocal of all leaders, but he was one of the best of all leaders because of the respect that he engendered from his teammates. The fact that he played hurt a lot, and they saw this going out there every day. He was a leader more by example, but if you had something that you needed to say or hear, Paul would either listen to you or tell you what you wanted to hear, and that part of it was terrific. And you can't say this about yourself, Hawk, but I will. You did an outstanding job down there. I thought you orchestrated things well. I thought it was a very emotional ceremony. It was nice to see his parents there, and for me, getting a chance to fly one time with Paul as he flew back home to Arizona, and I kind of hitched a ride with him. I got a tutorial on hitting. I didn't say very much. I listened to him talk about breaking down hitting as scientifically as anybody could possibly do it. He was talking about not only his stroke, but the stroke of Gordon Beckham and a number of other people. And it was something that I'll always remember, because he broke things down so well and understood what he had to do so very well. And he was the product of, obviously, many years in the refinement process of a hitter. Just a pleasure to listen to him.
Well, one of the big reasons, the two guys he had down there, Mike Gallinger and, of course, Greg Walker. And he's just one of those guys, as I said, that sometimes when he first put that White Sox, he overthought. He outdumbed himself a lot at the plate, which young hitters do. But, boy, I'll tell you one thing. He always had the one thing, the one ingredient, that if you can cover a major league fastball, and he could cover it with the best of them, then you can hit up here. And he just went from there and then learned how to become a good breaking ball hitter, and especially a good 7th, 8th, and 9th inning hitter.
Well, he also learned something that's a little more difficult for guys who can really hit, and that is he made himself a good defender. I don't think he was a natural defender. He was a guy who started out in the early years as a catcher and then was a third baseman, and then kind of by default moved over to first base. And as far as picking low throws, I'm not sure we've seen too many better than Paul Konerko. Are there guys who were quicker? Obviously. Are there guys who maybe could roam in different areas better than Paul? Yeah, sure there was. He just made himself the best that his ability would allow himself to be defensively. And he realized that that was a big part of the game, that you could win games by making double plays, by catching pop-ups, by doing all the things you have to do that don't involve hitting the baseball.
Well, there was nobody better. You know how yourself being a former pitcher, how the first baseman, you got to have somebody that'll give you good feeds, because you're going to cover first a lot in the course of the season. And nobody gave his pitchers better feeds and made it easier on them than Paul Konerko.
The White Sox take the field. Let's take a look at how Paul Molitor, the first-year skipper, is going to line up his Minnesota Twins. Brian Dozier is going to lead it off, and it's Shane Robinson against the left-handed Chris Sale. Trevor Plouffe hitting in the 3 spot. Torrey Hunter hitting cleanup. Kurt Suzuki is hitting in the 5th spot, and as you can see, career against the Sox, he's done a terrific job. 42 runs batted in 62 games. That's great. Eduardo Escobar, Eduardo Nunez, Aaron Hicks, and Danny Santana round it out. The defense and other lineup behind Chris Sale, left to right, Melky Cabrera, Adam Eaton, and J.B. Shuck. In the infield, it's Connor Gillespie, Alexi Ramirez, Carlos Sanchez, and Jose Abreu. Tyler Flowers gets a nod behind the plate, and Chris Sale on the hill. The last couple times out, he's been absolutely brilliant. He's 3-1 this year. That ERA, the product of just one bad ball game. And he's gone out there with a very good performance under his belt, head-to-head with Corey Kluber. And hopefully today, a little more of the same. His changeup has been outstanding of late. The umpires for the game this afternoon, Doug Eddings behind the plate. Adam Hamari is at first base with Adrian Johnson at second, and Bill Miller, the crew chief, is at third. So we're ready to play baseball, and I'm ready to turn it over to my play-by-play partner, Ken Harrelson.
Hi, it's Tony. Thank you. And once again, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to White Sox baseball on just a gorgeous day and a very meaningful day in White Sox history. The retirement of Paul Konerko's number 14. And the first pitch of the ball game to a good fastball hitter, Brian Dozier, is fouled back. Dozier comes in hitting at .248, 7 homers. He's driven in 20. Outfield straight up, spread out, about equidistant. And the count very quickly. 0-2. That one at 97. Ryan 0 for 4 last night in the opener. Sox won that game 3-2. It was a very exciting game. We trailed it 2-0, came back to win it.
$75 at game time, an absolutely gorgeous day.
Well, it was meant to be for Paulie's day.
There's no doubt. Couldn't have asked for a better day. Humidity is down. The wind, not much of a factor. The clouds, almost non-existent. Just a great day for Paul Konerko. Retirement day.
He's got some good top hand, and he shows you right there as he got on top of that high heater.
Dozier was a man without a position and a man without a spot in the batting order, and just kept getting better. They put him at second base, and he's taken to it exceptionally well.
He gone.
Twins come into this one at 23-18. They're 4 games in back of Kansas City, 2 games in back of Detroit, and the Sox 3 games in back of the Twins.
So here's Robinson, Shane Robinson, hitting at 274. He's in left field today.
We saw Robinson in Minneapolis. He's a product of the St. Louis Cardinal organization, meaning he really knows how to play the game well.
Did not check it up. Then the count 0-2. And here at the ballpark, 330 down the left field line, 335 down the right field line, 375 in the gaps end, 400 straight away center. That one at 94, tails outside. He gone. 2 down.
Over the last couple of weeks, Chris Sale, who has gotten better and better as he's moved along, remember he missed all of spring training. But over the last couple of weeks, he's had a line drive percentage against him. It's 8.1. League average is 20.7. So nobody is squaring it up on Chris Sale these days. And that's a Chris Sale we've seen the last few years.
Here's Plouffe. Trevor takes ball 1. Plouffe at 257, 6 homers. He's driven in 21. Twins hitting at 254 as a club. Nice hop. 1-2-3 inning with a couple of he-gones, and after a half inning of play, it's the Twins nothing, and our guys, the good guys, coming to bat.
Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Now let's take a look at how Robin is going to line up our Sox for the game this afternoon. Adam Eaton leading it off, followed by Melky Cabrera and Jose Abreu. Adam LaRoche is the DH. 17-game hitting streak for Abreu. Connor Gillespie, Alexei Ramirez, J.B. Shuck, Tyler Flowers, and Carlos Sanchez rounded out. The defense and how they'll line up behind Trevor May. Robinson, Hicks, and Hunter in the outfield with Escobar, Santana, Dozier, and Plouffe in the infield. Kurt Suzuki behind the plate and Trevor May on the hill. He beat us in Minnesota, but he gave up 10 hits in 5 1/3 innings. There you look at the numbers overall. He gives up many more hits than innings pitched. The only way you can survive if you do that is by not walking too many people.
And before we show you our picks to click, you at home select yours. Trevor's a big man. He's 6'5", 240 out of Kelso, Washington.
They got him in the Ben Revere trade from the Philadelphia Phillies, and they're very happy as he's fit nicely in the rotation.
It's fouled away. Sox come in hitting at .251 as a club with a 4.21 ERA.
Joe Mauer's
are 12-8 here at home. 9-12 on the road are the Twinkies.
Joe Mauer is sitting this one out. Not a bad thing against Chris Sale.
He's not complaining.
No, he likes a day off every now and then. And if it's against a tough, really tough left-hander, so be it.
The first time Joe Mauer faced Chris Sale.
I remember that. He hasn't seen his slider yet.
That was the worst I have ever seen Mauer look at the plate. Got him, so 1 out. And with 1 out, let's check out our picks to click. There you see the manager, our director, and the crew. Well, they went with Alexi. Steve's going with Connor Gillespie. And Chuck Swirsky and I. We're going to go with Melky Cabrera.
Normally the game plan against
his beautiful family.
Game plan against Trevor May is a pretty simple one, because he's going to be around the plate. But if he does get you on an 0-2 count, his tendency has been to throw too good a pitch, and hitters have hit him well on that count. He's a very young pitcher. He'll learn to nip at the corners and make sure the pitch looks good, maybe just off the plate.
Turns that one over, sinks it low and away. That one at 95. And that's low. Melky 1 for 4 last night, hitting at .252, a homer. He's driven in 14. That ball hit well into right center field. Stretch! Nope. Hicks goes back on the track. And once again, Melky Cabrera has hit a ball hard and coming up empty.
Hitting it to the wrong man in this defense, because Aaron Hicks, who has had 3 or 4 shots at the major leagues, can really go get them. His trouble has been swinging the bat, but defensively he's as good as they have in their organization. Last night he made a spectacular catch. This one a little easier as he drifts under it, but usually if it stays in the air, Hicks is going to run it down.
Well, that's one of the things about baseball that I really have never understood. There's Abreu. Takes strike 1. Jose hitting at .290, 6 homers. He's driven in 22. When you're not swinging the bat well, and you're a tremendous defender, and your club is not scoring runs, the one thing you cannot allow is to have them and give them runs.
It's true.
I've always thought that when your club is not scoring runs, you put the best defense out there you can put out to keep them from scoring runs.
Pretty good plan, but it's not always enacted.
Well, it's not. It's very seldom. This when they go for the guys who can swing the bats, hoping they'll get started, and who are butchers for sometimes in the field.
Well, they play on the philosophy of maybe he'll get us 2 and give them 1.
A 1-2 pitch. Well, he's got a pretty good overhand Yellowhammer right there. So he strikes out a couple. After 1, no score. Hunter hitting at 281, 6 homers. He's driven in 24. Takes that changeup high and wide. Torrey, 1 for 4 last night and 9 for 33 with a homer lifetime off Chris. That's high into left field. Melky over near the stands and can't get it.
Made a good effort, but couldn't come up with it. Now you can see fan interference if a fan leans over into the field of play. But when the fielder goes into the stands, you won't see fan interference called. This time, this one just a little out of the reach.
That ball hit hard, and it's 1-0 Minnesota.
Seventh home run of the year. Torrey Hunter is now driven in 25. No concession to the aging process for Torrey Hunter, as he's off to a terrific start. He had a great year with Detroit last year. This time he gets a fastball. It's up and out over the plate, and a line drive rocket makes it 1-0.
So here's Kurt Suzuki at 228, a couple of homers. He's driven in 12. Well, in 99.9%. Guys in that aging process, once they get to 37, 38, 39 like Torrey is, if that ball hit deep into left center field. Adam back. He's there right in front of Wintrust and makes the catch. But most of those guys lose the ability to turn a fastball around. And it's a sad thing to see. Torrey is in that respect an enigma, because right now he's as good a fastball hitter as he was when he was 26. The only other guy I saw who became a better hitter as he got older was Carl Yastrzemski, and he was the Triple Crown winner back in 1967. And then as years went on, he turned 40, and at 40 he was a better hitter, a fastball hitter, than he was when he won the Triple Crown. But he couldn't hit the other stuff because he was just sitting on fastballs all the time. Escobar hitting at 252, a couple of homers. He's driven in 16.
Eduardo last year at 275, they really love him on this team because he is a jack of all trades. He can give you a competent afternoon in the outfield. He can play third, short, and second. You just don't find switch hitting utility men with all that versatility. And he can also swing a ball that almost hits him.
I'm not laughing at it. I've been there and done that against left-handers. 2 down.
You get a lefty with a slider like Chris Sale, he's going to make you look very bad a lot. He swings at it. Also hits him in the foot.
So here is Eduardo Nunez. Hitting at 375. No homers. He's driven in a pair. Yeah, but I remember guys, Hall of Famers like Harmon Killebrew, Brooks Robinson, and those guys, as they got older, could not turn the letter high fastball around. Of course, the American League at that time was a high fastball league. As that ball hit deep in the left center field, and that's gone. So it's 2-0.
Nunez just activated off the disabled list, acquired from the New York Yankees. That's his first home run of the year. He's driven in 3. You're not going to see too many innings in the career of Chris Sale where he gives up 2 home runs. But you just saw it here this afternoon. This is another fastball. This one is up and out over the plate, and Nunez turns on it and takes it out.
Well, that's the 5th and 6th home run that Chris has thrown this year. And here's Aaron Hicks. Makes a breaking ball strike. Twins now with 32 home runs.
They out-homered our Sox 5-0 in that 4-game sweep in Minneapolis. Somewhat surprising because the Twins weren't known as a home run hitting team, and the Sox usually are known as a home run hitting team. It hasn't worked out quite that way in the early going,
especially in that ballpark. Change up. 2-1.
Hicks hasn't had much of an opportunity to hit from the right side, just 7 at bats.
Another one. He gone, but a couple of solo shots. And after an inning and a half, 2-0 Minnesota.
WGNTV.com and click on the WGN Sports Game Zone banner for the latest stats and information. The Sox Game Zone is powered by Robert Morris University, Illinois, offering only over 55 athletic teams, more than any other university in the state. For more information on RMU, visit robertmorris.edu.
Adam LaRoche, Connor Gillespie, and Alexei Ramirez to face the 25-year-old right-hander Trevor May. Takes first pitch strike. Adam hitting at .217, 4 homers. He's driven in 16. He has faced May 3 times, and he's 0 for 3.
He's a 3-pitch pitcher. We've seen the good overhand curveball. He's got that. He also throws a changeup and a pretty good fastball, which he throws 2 of, 4-seamer, 2-seamer.
Deep in the right center field. Hicks back, and it's off the wall. Adam now will pull up at second with a leadoff double. That's his 5th two-bagger.
For just an instant, it looks like Hicks might pull off another spectacular catch. This is a curveball that stays over the inner portion. Left-handers love the ball down for a strike on the inner portion of the plate, and he puts a charge into it. And Hicks has the ball hit the mesh before he can get to it.
Well, 2 guys were wrong there. I think Adam thought it was gone, and I think Hicks thought he had it. So
he got there, just ball hit above the glove.
So here's Gillespie. Connor at .253, a couple of homers. He's driven in 10.
Connor had a similar situation in the ball game a couple of days ago, where situation dictated he tried to pull the ball and he popped it up to the left side.
He'll get the job done right there. Dozier sucks it up. So a good at bat for Gillespie.
White Sox fans, celebrate your Italian roots with Italian Heritage Night presented by Beggar's Pizza. When we take on our division rivals, the Detroit Tigers, on Friday, June 5th. Italian Heritage Night will feature specially priced tickets and a post-game fireworks show. To purchase tickets, visit whitesox.com/Italy.
All right, Connor did his job. Now Alexi's got to do his. Alexi at 250, couple homers, 18 knocked in.
With a runner at 3rd and 1 out, the Sox have scored at least 163% of the time. League average is 71% of the time.
And that'll go up a little bit for us. And it's a 2-1 ball game.
RBI number 19 for Alexi. He got his fastball and he got it down. Apparently the scouting report on Alexi is try to throw low fastballs if you're going to throw fastballs, but it's hard to get a fastball by him. He saw 3 of them, and the 3rd one he rifled into center field.
Well, he's the best right-handed fastball hitter on our team.
He is that.
Here's J.B. Shuck at 276. He was 2 for 3 last night. And there goes Alexi. He gone. 2 out.
One of the better throws by Kurt Suzuki. He got rid of it quickly, and he threw it right on the money. Not a great jump by Alexi, and Suzuki comes out, puts it right there. Santana, all he's got to do is lay down the tag.
High pop back. And into the seats. Standing room only here on a memorable day if you're just tuning in for the White Sox. The 11th member of the retired number club, Paul Konerko, is in the house. Got him, but we pick up a run. The leadoff double. Gillespie does his job. Alexi does his, and it is 2-1 Minnesota. in the booth is the man of the day, the man of the hour, and he'll always be our captain, number 14, who is number is right above us. There's a little swinging bunt. Gillespie. He threw it away. Paul Konerko, Paulie. You look great, kid.
Thanks,
You're playing some hockey, huh?
Yeah, playing some pickup hockey. You know, I did it as a child and as a kid until I was 16. So once I got playing into professional baseball, you can't do it because you can't get hurt. So as soon as the retirement hit, man, I was back out there, leaving it all out there.
Yeah, some of the guys who saw you earlier before I did say, man, he looks terrific. So what do you think about the day? Well, they did it right, didn't they?
They did. I mean, it was a real hard act to follow with the end of the year being so soon, you know, so short time ago. So to come up with something original and nice and to have it feel like it was something new, it was hard to pull off, and they did it. So it was great, and I think you definitely, at the end of the year, you know, you're scrambling around last year. You know it's a great thing, but you're also trying to go out there and play and get some hits and just try to, you know, play the game of baseball. This was a little different because none of that going on, and it does hit you between then and now that, yeah, you're not putting the uniform on anymore. It's over. So you do appreciate it, I think, a little bit more. Not that I didn't appreciate September, but this kind of hits you, and you really get a foul. You know,
there's a good fastball hitter right there. We were talking about you and Tommy and Molitor. Very seldom you see three great fastball hitters in the same place at the same time.
Yeah, Molitor was something special. He could do it, that's for sure.
Well, you've been watching some of our games out there at home?
A little bit, yeah, here and there. I watched some early, and I'd say last week I've caught a few. Caught the Oakland series.
Yeah, well, you know.
Which was a good one. Maybe I should watch more. They won all three of those.
Yeah, 1997 was the last time we swept a 3-game series. You know how tough it was. Something was always going wrong. We'd have a lead, and all of a sudden something would go wrong, you know, and we'd lose the ball game out there. So it's always been a tough place for us. But I'll tell you, this is a good ball club. We just had a streak there, but it's baseball, as you know. We just played bad for a while.
It is. I mean, the way I look at it, I mean, of course, I didn't look at things simply when I was playing, but now that I'm out, you kind of look at them real simple. And the way I look at it is just by talking to some of the guys over the last day, they haven't played their best baseball. They know it, but they also haven't shot themselves in the foot to where they're out of anything.
No.
You know, they have a good 7-10 days, and, you know, they're immediately back in anything they want to be back into. So that's the main thing. April and May with the weather can be really tough, and I think the main thing is that they're not right where they want to be, but they're also not out of contention to where the season's already a throwaway. They have tons of time left, and you just got to trust the talent. There's a ton of talent in this lineup on the mound, so you just got to trust that that'll bear out over 162, assuming everybody's going about it right. The talent will bear itself out. You know, some of those other teams that are doing well right now are going to hit some bumps in the road too.
Well, I had told my family, I said, if we can just hang around 500 for the first 2 months, we're going to be in good shape, because 25 out of our first 28 were against the Central Division. And we're still going to be playing them a lot of games. So if we can hang around, you know, at 500 mark or wherever it may be, then when we get to August and September, it's going to be fun. You know, it's the first time in a long time that we've had a bullpen that can protect the lead in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning.
Yeah, Robertson's lights out. He's fun to watch. It wasn't fun to hit off him, but when you watch games on TV, a lot of guys that are good look like they're easy to hit on TV. Well, as we know, it's a little different when you're up there. He looks tough to hit on TV, you know. So when you're watching the games, it's I find myself swinging at some of his breaking balls even watching him on TV.
There's a base hit, another run scores, and very quickly it is 4-1. One of the things about it is that when you get in that frame of mind of you can come back in games, that's a frame of mind, and when you can get in that frame of mind, just give us the lead in the 8th or the 9th, and then you bring in Robbie. I'll tell you, I'm with you. I see some of the curveballs he throws, and even from up here, they're unhittable. You didn't see that Slater Kluber game, did you?
I saw highlights of it.
I want to tell you.
Yeah, it was. That Kluber is no picnic either.
That was one of the best right-handed curveballs I've ever seen.
I was telling everybody all week after that game, some people back home asked me, I said, yeah, I got a home run off of Kluber, but I hit it off him when he first came up and didn't know what he was doing yet. But I don't tell him that.
In spring training this year, obviously you didn't have to do anything, but did the muscle memory, did your body tell you it's time to get ready, and you just had to say, well, actually it's not because I'm retired?
You know, I didn't. it didn't really hit me that I had no baseball until as you guys got close to breaking camp and leaving for the season. Spring training just kind of came. I tried to stay in shape. Like I said, I was skating, lifting some weights. And, you kind of catch yourself sometimes because you've been such in a habit over the years of you're building up to a goal. You're building up to a date to be ready by. And a couple times you catch yourself doing that and you're like, hey, there's no date to get ready by. You're just doing this for the fun of it to try to stay in shape. And it's a little bit different. But, no, everything, I think for me, the switch to want to do everything baseball related and want to get ready to play and do all the things it takes to do, it went off sometime last year. Like the way it all wrapped up and the way I felt inside and all that, it all kind of ended. And I don't really feel and haven't felt an urge to want to do anything baseball related since, which is nice. It's a nice thing because I know a lot of guys don't get that when they're done playing. They still want to get out there and play, and it's going to be tough for some guys. I've been pretty lucky not to be dealing with that. But every day between 7 and 10, I just find myself throwing something out of anger in my kitchen. Like, I got to throw I'm used to throwing my helmet and all that or something, so I just find myself, picking up like a spatula and throwing it across the kitchen, just out of habit. No, I'm just. Look at this one.
Oh man, you talking about it?
Look at this
duck snort. There it is. They're going to get him a second. Yes.
Wow. Torrey Hunter, I'm sorry, pal. That's a tough one. You want that one.
How about Torrey at 39 still able to turn that fastball around?
He did, yeah. Torrey's a special player.
Just your typical 9-6 force out at second.
I've told this story to a lot of people. The first 2 years you were with us, we were having dinner one night. I asked my wife, and I told her, I said, honey, I'm worried about Konerko. She said, why? I said, because he's going to kill himself. He'd go down there. Paulie would go down in that dugout after popping up a fastball or missing or grounded in a fastball out, and just the helmet would go one way, the bat would go another way, and it was. Steve and I were talking about it. That's one of my great joys with the White Sox is seeing you mature and the maturation process that you developed into as far as being a professional. And you know yourself, you can't reach your potential unless you can handle adversity.
No doubt. I mean, my first few years here, I did some nice things, but looking back on it after I started doing it right about the middle of the 2000s, you wish you could go back and do it all over again because you gave so many at bats away and you gave so many because of the way you handled it. I remember Joe Nosek, who was our bench coach back then, who helped me out a lot. He's just a very knowledgeable baseball guy and just been around the game for a long time. And he said to me, look, I'm going to tell you something right now. You can't play this game frustrated, but you can play it angry. And there's a big difference between being frustrated and angry, but sometimes the line when you're out there, you can't tell the difference. But as soon as I knew how to separate playing the game angry and not playing it frustrated, things started to go a lot better for me because he was right. When you're out there and you're playing with a chip on your shoulder and you're angry, things can happen. Good things can happen. But frustration and doing things out of frustration out there, it only just digs the hole deeper. So that was some of the best advice. I used that one the whole way through because I would always ask myself, am I frustrated or am I angry? Which one am I right now? And try to make a conscious decision to get over to the angry side if I wasn't there, and then take it out on somebody when you're playing. That's a whole different ball of wax than playing the game frustrated.
And that statement that Paulie just made is what they call experience. And experience is something you got when you didn't want to get it.
No doubt.
That means failure.
You were the captain of this team, and a lot is being said about a new captain emerging. Now, number one, do you believe a team has to have a captain? And number two, how does a captain come about? It can't be anointed, so how does it come about?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a byproduct. Let's see here. Maybe we'll get that one next inning, Stoney.
Okay.
I had a great answer lined up for you.
A pair and his 4-1 Twins. For us and in the booth with us is the man who had his number retired. He's just the 11th number retired in the history of this franchise. And flying in, did you think about it at all, about being up on this facade?
Yeah, I got nervous. I hadn't thought about it too much. I felt like I got over the hump last season when it all ended and I had to do everything here. Thought I was home free, and then the last week or two, started getting all the logistics ready, coming in. I was like, geez, I have to go back out there and talk again. It's going to be a center of attention thing, the whole thing. And I started getting nervous a little bit again, sweating and leading into today. But, I figured, I kept just telling myself, listen, if your number's going up there, you can handle it. It wouldn't be going up there otherwise, right? So, and I had done it. I did it at the end of the year. And you just get through, and I think you just speak from the heart, and you just try to, I think with these fans and everything else, I've always, when I talk, and I've had done interviews or done something like that, you just talk like you talk to your friends, you talk to your teammates or whatever it is, and you don't try to be all official sounding and all that. You just talk like people want to talk baseball, and I think hopefully they get what you're saying.
Well, that's one thing about Paul, for all the people out there who didn't have an opportunity to know him when he was playing here for his 16th season. He really did not seek notoriety. He did not seek, like a lot of players, the headlines or the talking with the writers. Now, he took it and he accepted the responsibility of being a star on this team. And that was one of the nice things, too. But I got the feeling a lot of times you just didn't want to, especially when we were losing, you just didn't want to talk to anybody. But you had to, and you did.
Yeah, I think there's a certain responsibility. And I tell guys, listen, every day the media, the clubhouse opens at 3:30. You stretch at 4:15. Somewhere in there, you got to make yourself available for 15, 20 minutes every day. And after the game, no matter what happened, you got to be available for 15, 20 minutes. And no matter what you feel or what you think, that's part of your job. That's part of your salary that you get paid to be available for that. Outside of that, you don't owe anybody anything. If you have your job to get ready for and you have your routines, that's something that's not who you are, then it's totally understandable. But you don't have a choice on those other two. If you have a problem with it, you pick the wrong profession. And that's part of the gig, and you have to be able to handle that. And it wasn't always fun, because especially when you're going bad, a team's going bad, and you're a big cause of it. You don't want to have to answer that, but it's just it's what you got to do. It's no different than having to come out and stretch or take batting practice, and especially in today with all the outlets and all the things going on, you have to make yourself available. That doesn't mean you have to make a big show out of it every time you do it. You say the same answers a lot, and you try to talk a lot sometimes without saying anything, but you have to be present and be there. That's part of being a big leaguer.
Tell us a little bit about your philosophy on the captain of a baseball team, because you were getting into it and then the third out.
I think it's a combination of a few things that kind of grows. I think it definitely helps if a guy's on the field and he's playing, an everyday player is playing every day and he's producing, and guys he's showing guys that he's showing up and he's working and he's leaving it out there. That certainly is probably the most galvanizing thing that can be. That doesn't mean a starting pitcher can't do it. Mark Burley's one of the best leaders I've ever seen. And there's a couple guys on this team with some margin say, well, these guys are cut from the same cloth. But I think it takes a little bit of time, too. It takes a little bit of age. It's tough to ask a guy that's 24, 25, because I think, you haven't got on the other side of some things, not only in the game, but in life, that kind of just harden you up, toughen you up, and kind of make you know. But I think for me, it was when I sat there and said, okay, I'm kind of in the middle of my career now. And when you start seeing other players around the league and you start saying, this career is starting to, go to where one day it's going to end, there's some things I haven't done yet. Maybe winning a World Series or getting to the playoffs more. When I started looking at it from the framework of time's kind of running out, then I looked at it as who's on my team right now that's not pulling in the same direction to get me and get the rest of these guys that want to get there to that place, because you only have so much time in your career. And so I think, and I never was a guy that wanted to, there you go. That should be 3, right?
Yep.
I know what a triple looks like, Hawk. I see it.
That's the only thing you know.
I know a triple when I see it.
He was asking me. I was talking about Gus Triandos the other day running, and he said, well, was he as slow as Canero? I said, Paulie would have blew his doors off.
Yeah, I was bad. I was slow. But I was slow from the time I was like 10 years old, so I didn't really ever lose. It was tough to tell if I ever lost a step, because I never was fast.
And you could sustain a foot injury, and it wouldn't hurt your game at all.
Exactly. But going back to the question, I think that it just kind of happens with a little bit of maturity and a little bit of urgency, I guess is what I was trying to get at. When you have urgency to want to take yourself somewhere as a player and your team somewhere as a player, then you start looking around and saying who's on board with that and who isn't. And there's different ways to how to approach that. I never was a guy that liked to be rah-rah, call team meetings or any of that. You know, my old saying was winners win and losers have meetings. That's my favorite saying maybe ever. So you just, you know what to do. You get out there and do it. But I was more of a, hey, let's sit on the plane, have a drink, or when we get to the hotel, let's talk. What are you feeling up there, or what happened today? Were you doing your work, or that was more my approach. And so it's a little bit different way to do it. But I just think it's when you start to realize that'll do it. That you start taking it a little serious, that it's not all fun and games, and you play with a little bit of urgency, and you come in, maybe when you start to hurt a little bit, get a little achy, and you see yourself paying the price to get ready to play and to get out there, and someone else is not doing it, or someone's, I wouldn't say not doing it, but I think with baseball, everybody has different routines. There's some guys who go lay on the couch for 5 hours and go play a game and have a great game. Some guys have to be working all day. I think what it is about consistency of routines of people, and you get to know those. So when you see people acting out of character those, I think that's when you say, okay, this guy needs to, maybe pick it up a bit. He's stopping me from getting the rest of these guys and myself to the goals we want to get to.
Well, Paulie, thanks for stopping up.
All right,
buddy.
Guys. I appreciate it.
Good to see
Over
you.
the years, you guys were good to me.
Okay?
I always try to take a few pitches, let you guys talk good about me while I was up there. So you did a good job of it.
Sox game day, and you might be today's White Sox fan of the game. White Sox fan photo of the game is brought to you by Beggar's Pizza, now with 22 locations. Visit beggarspizza.com. Beggar's Pizza, they lay it on thick.
It's a 4-3 Minnesota lead here in the top of the fourth inning. Eduardo Nunez, who homered, fouls that pitch back. One of the things about Konerko and being captain that he handled very professionally was the fact that when he was going bad and the club was going bad, the writers would always go to the captain. They always go to Konerko. And he handled that, and so I used to just almost marvel at the way he was doing it, because I knew it was like the duck on the pond. Seemed real calm on top, and those little feet are paddling a mile a minute underneath. And that's, you knew he was seething underneath because he had gone 0 for 4. We'd lost another ball game. But he answered all their questions, and he did it in a way that they appreciated it, because the media have a tough job to do. Everybody's always ripping on the media. I want to tell you, their job is very, very tough. And he accommodated them, and that's very important in today's culture.
Also takes a whole lot of pressure off the other guys who are younger, don't understand the game as well.
Well, that's the reason he was captain.
Take the 0 for 4s like it's the end of the world. If they come to Paulie and he kind of keep things in perspective, it has to help the ball club.
Watch out.
Take a look at those all-time White Sox rankings. First in total bases, second in home runs, second in runs batted in, second in games played, third in hits, fourth in runs. You got to be here a long time to accomplish that.
Well, again, those don't really tell the story. I mean, first of all, it was not what he hit, but when he hit it. That's number one. And the next part, in the clubhouse and on the plains. Breaking ball. He gone. He knew it. 2 down.
Fifth strikeout. A backdoor breaking ball. Right on the outside corner. Well framed by Tyler Flowers. And quickly 2 outs.
Well, Chris has got to be saying to himself, man, I gave up 4 runs and we're only 1 run down. So he's got to have a little extra adrenaline flowing for him right now. There's the backdoor breaking ball again. Don't let him get that release point. Santana reached on an error. And that started off a 2-run third. Yeah, when you take a guy like Paulie or Derek Jeter, who had a much bigger stage in New York with him as far as the media goes. He gone. 6 strikeouts now. A 1-2-3 inning. He needed that, and we'll go to the bottom of the 4th.
Flash sale in which 200 tickets and select lower level seats will be available for just $10 at an upcoming game. Each sale runs for 24 hours or until they sell out. For full details, visit whitesox.com/flash sale.
Oh, 1 to count. Did not particularly care for that call. He doubled high off the right center field fence. And very quickly, it's 0-2.
Would be really nice to be able to score here for the simple reason that the shadow's now creeping across home plate. Pretty soon, the light standard is going to be between the pitcher and the hitter. As you can see right now, it's off to the right side of the infield. But when that happens, it becomes doubly tough to see anything spinning.
Had him out in front, off balance, and that's out number 1.
That's 5 strikeouts for May, who is not a strikeout pitcher. But But he got it by him at 88.
When he was looking for 94. So here's Gillespie, grounded out to second. I used to get a kick out of watching Paulie and AJ go after it. Paulie just wear him out. He was one of the few guys could keep AJ quiet. Two down.
They got his first shot at the big leagues last year as he came up. Appeared in 10 games, made 9 starts. It was not a terribly successful year for him. He was 3-6 with an ERA just under 8. But he learned a whole lot. Coming back now, he's a better pitcher than he was then, and he's still young. He's still just 25 years old.
Right off the end of the bat, a little comeback. And that didn't take long. 3 up, 3 down. And we trail it 4-3.
From the Xfinity couch right behind home plate. Xfinity gives you the best seat in the house. Xfinity, your home for the most live sports.
So here's Brian Dozier to lead it off. He's 1 for 2, a double, and a run scored. 4-4-0 for them, 3-3-1 for us. First pitch strike. And that's foul back to our right. What a glorious day here in the City Beautiful. Paulie having number 14 retired, and hopefully a nice comeback by our guys.
It's only fitting that today should be an absolutely gorgeous day. And there's a whole lot of people in attendance for this one, including standing room only.
Change up, he gone.
Dozier's always been a great fastball hitter, and Chris Sale has one of the better changeups around. In fact, that was the first thing that surprised most of the hitters the first time or two they looked at Chris Sale, because they knew he could get it up there 98, 99 miles an hour, and they knew that slider was unhittable. They just didn't know about the straight change. And it's been great.
Usually with a talented left-hander, especially a young talented, the younger they can master, not master because you never master anything in this game because it's round, but they can get some sort of success with a changeup. That's what gets them over the hump. You see a lot of good left-handed arms come up that put some bad numbers up on that board. But when they come up with a changeup, next thing you know, some of them are stars. There's a little soft base hit by Robinson.
I think the last time up showed you all you wanted to know about Shane Robinson. He came up in a situation with the infield back where a ground ball got you a run. He went up there and all he hit was a ground ball to shortstop. But with the infield back, you need the run brought home. He didn't overswing, and that's a product of understanding situational hitting.
Here's Plouffe. Yeah, but when you think back, when I think back, I should say, on guys like Viola, Frank Viola, pitch that got him over the hump was the change. Bruce Hurst, pitch that got him over the hump was the change.
How about Johan Santana?
Well,
he could tell you it was coming, you couldn't hit it.
Yeah, but I'm talking about guys who at one time threw pretty hard. Santana, well, he threw pretty hard too. Yeah, Santana had one of the greatest changeups you ever will see. John Tudor of the Cardinals, which was not a particularly hard throw, but he had good movement. When he came up with that change, he became an outstanding left-handed pitcher. Yeah, I've told our fans this before. When Santana was with Minnesota, we had his pitches. We knew every changeup he was going to throw, and we still couldn't beat him. That's a power changeup.
Maybe the greatest transition between from fireballer to a guy that became a soft tosser with still the same amount of success is Frank Tanana. Frank Tanana threw the daylights out of the ball, and all of a sudden the fastball went away. He lived and died with changeups and slow breaking balls.
Well, he had arm problems. And rack him up. We're halfway home. We trail at 4-3.
Take on the Tigers. First 5,000 kids ages 13 and under will receive a White Sox Kids XL hoodie presented by Aquafina. Purchase your tickets today by visiting whitesox.com/promos.
Bottom of the fifth inning, we trail at 4-3. It'll be Shuck, Flowers, and Sanchez. JB struck out on the changeup his first trip. And that is a good play by Trevor May.
Well, a very good play because he had no angle, so what he had to do was just barely ease it over the shoulder of JB Shuck.
That's why it was a good play.
As you can see, Trevor Plouffe able to catch it, and Shuck now just realizing that he was called out. So he'll come back.
So here's Tyler. He struck out swinging on a fastball. Breaking ball strike. Just tuning in, May has had a pretty good curveball. And the count 0-2.
Now is when the visibility gets a little tough.
Chopper up the middle. Oh, look at this play by Dozier. He can't get him. Good effort by Brian Dozier.
That's about as far to the third base side of second as you're going to see a second baseman. Tyler with better than average speed for a catcher. Dozier goes over, smothers it on the short hop, but can't plant, can't get enough on the throw.
Here's Carlos. He was hit by a pitch with one out back in the third inning, and that started a 2-run third. He came around to score, as did Adam Eaton, who was on deck after he tripled. Pull the string, and way out in front. It is so nice. Standing room only. Jacks it up, and very quickly 0-2. And a very happy Memorial Day weekend to all. Make it a safe and a reflective one. Got him. All speed stuff.
Straight change was a good one, and he had Carlos well out in front of him.
Here's Adam, that strikeout in the first inning, that RBI triple and run scored in the third. There he goes. And there's the base hit. That is so nice now. Robinson gets to it in a hurry, so Tyler pulls up at second.
Pretty good idea when you've got everybody shifting around. That inside out swing on the low fastball. And he eased it through the vacated left side. As you can see, because Tyler was running, Santana was going to the bag, really exposing that left side. And because he's a bunt threat, Escobar was in closer than he normally would be at third.
There's Melky. He's gone out deep to center and then knocked in a run. That's right off the end of the bat. And that'll retire the side. So we have a mild threat. Can't do anything with it. We're into the sixth, trailing by 1.
Subway to 97999 right now for your chance to win 6 meals from the Simple 6 menu from Subway. Message and data rates may apply. Subway, eat fresh.
Breaking ball outside, tried to backdoor him to Torrey Hunter, who homered leading off the second. And then into a 9-6 fielder's choice in the third. Change up, grabs a strike. 2-1. Breaking ball.
Thanks, PK. Nice license plate.
Just inside. Full count. An ageless veteran. He gone. Yes.
Upstairs at 95. You can't hit it. You can't lay off it. That's why it's such a good pitch.
Here's Suzuki. He's going out deep to left center. Taking Adam Eaton up against that Wintrust sign, and he was hit by a pitch.
From today through May 31st, buy 4 qualifying Cooper tires from participating Cooper dealers and score a voucher for 4 free White Sox tickets. Life's a road trip. Come on, let's go. Visit whitesox.com/Cooper tires for more information or to redeem your voucher.
Escobar is struck out and hit into a 6-4 fielder's choice. Ball high and foul.
That time it looked like he got a slider. It was on the inner portion. Unfortunately, he got out a little too quickly. Pitch number 82 on the way. Not a particularly high total here in the 6th inning with a couple of outs.
He gone. 95. 1-2-3 inning. 9 strikeouts for Chris, but we still trail it by 1.
Sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your local nationwide insurance agent, serving the area for 37 years. To join the nation, visit jeffvuk.com because Nationwide is on your side.
Abreu, LaRoche, and Gillespie here in our half of the 6th inning. 4-5-0 for them, 3-5-1 for us.
So he's looking to extend that 17-game hitting streak. And the visibility isn't great. Plus they have a shift on it.
2-0.
Now we'll see if he gets one to his liking. See a whole lot of room on that right side to punch one through. That time May got lucky because he rolled a breaking ball right over the middle of the plate. And Jose fouled it straight back.
And follows it up with a 94.
Dunsing the left-hander, Presley the right-hander.
One out. Seven strikeouts now for May.
May is average right around 5 innings per start. That's one of the reasons why the bullpen is up and going. He'd also not even come close to a strikeout an inning. That hasn't been the case here today. He's had very good stuff.
Jacks it up, takes a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Had him doubled off the right center field fence, leading off the second, came around to score.
A very low pitch count.
And that ball hit hard. Stay fair. It won't.
Unfortunately, that one hooked just in front of the pole. That's one of the mistakes that May has been making on 0-2 pitches. The pitch is just a little too good. And he came an eyelash from seeing this a tie ball game. It's rare that pitchers will have 0-2 problems, but May has had those.
Some managers can live with it, other managers cannot.
That and the fact that if you have really great stuff, go right at them 0-2. Sometimes the stuff isn't that great.
8 strikeouts through 5 2/3. There's Gillespie. He's grounded to second. He's grounded to first. And if you're just joining us, you missed a wonderful ceremony. And retiring Paul Konerko's number 14. That's the 11th number retired by this historic franchise.
Well deserved, a beautiful ceremony. It was nice to see his family. I played golf a number of times with his father, Hank. Good player. And as you would expect, getting an opportunity to throw out the first pitch. And Gordon Beckham does the honors. Ball actually throws it right in the zone. You would expect nothing less.
One of the more accurate throwing first basemen you'll ever see. To second on the 3-6-3 and feeding the pitcher. on a 3-1. Well, that's a 1-2-3 inning with a couple of strikeouts, so we're into the 7th. Fast-paced ball game. 4-3 bad guys. Nunez takes a fastball right there. Nunez is 1 for 2 with a homer, his first homer of the season. Coming back in the 2nd inning when they hit 2 solo shots. One by Torrey Hunter, his 7th, and Nunez his 1st.
There's been 17 strikeouts combined in this game. Not unusual for Chris Sale, but unusual for Trevor May. Now, his career high is 10. He accomplished that against the Sox back in the middle of September. So he's allowed to go long enough. Looks like he will eclipse that. But the bullpen's up and going, which would lead you to believe that there's a very good chance he'll be taken down.
Change up. It's awfully hit.
Hey, Sox fans, the Xfinity Fundamentals deck overlooking left field at U.S. Cellular Field is accessible from the 100, 300, and 500 levels. Learn baseball fundamentals from Chicago White Sox Training Academy coaches in the batting and pitching cages. You also have base running areas and more. It's all from Xfinity, your home for the most live sports.
Center fielder Aaron Hicks struck out twice. Went swinging at a changeup. Once called with a slider.
Not surprising that all of the scoring was in the first 3 innings, because in the last 3 the visibility has gotten very bad for the hitters, which is just fine for some of us former pitchers and current people still able to pitch. We would like this visibility the whole game.
You guys are the most narcissistic, egotistical position players in sports.
No, we don't mind if our hitters get an occasional hit. We just don't want the other guys to hit very much.
Pitchers, for the most part, are all the same. 1-2. Going away. Outfield, for the most part, straight up. Just about equidistant. And a full count.
This is not the man you want to walk. Hicks a strikeout victim twice, hasn't been swinging the bat real well.
Backs up, makes his own hop. 2 down.
Good things happen when you stay in front of the baseball, because not every hop is going to be a good one. And if you stay in front, you have your whole body to knock it down. And Sanchez had to give some ground. By giving some ground, he's able to catch that ball into his body, make sure it doesn't get by him, and retire Hicks.
So here's Santana. And he reached on an error and scored, and he also struck out. One thing about Sanchez, he's turning to double play better than he turned it last year. And he looks very, very, very comfortable out there at second.
The double play that he turned along with Alexei, when they turned the double play on Michael Brantley, I didn't think there was any way anybody could turn that. And he got a whole lot on the throw from low 3/4. Now we had a little more time. He threw straight over the top on the second double play he completed. That was a good turn at second base, but the first time was a spectacular turn and throw.
The 0-2 pitch. He gone. Change up. 9 strikeouts now. 7th inning stretch. We trail it 4-3. Four, 5-0 for the Twinkies. 3-5 in what has turned out to be a big one for our Sox. We trail it by 1. It'll be Alexei, Shuck, and Flowers. Takes the bunt, takes the strike.
He's out there with a string on his back. If he has any problems at all, Paul Molitor's going to go to the bullpen. He's got a right-hander and a left-hander ready to go. Case May falters.
Had him way off balance. Escobar. Alexei now 1 for 3 with an RBI.
Enjoy U.S. Cellular Field just like a player. You can play catch in the outfield, warm up in the bullpens, visit the dugouts, and much more. Join us for Family Field Day on Saturday, May 30th, and support Chicago White Sox charities. To purchase tickets, visit whitesoxcharities.org.
So here's Shuck. He struck out on the changeup. And he's going back to the pitcher. When Little number down the first base line that May came in and made a nice play on.
This is probably the best use of the curveball that Trevor May has had all year.
Well, it started off very first hitter. That overhand hook that he threw that and strike him out. So where'd that come from?
Doesn't throw many of them, but boy, he's used them to great advantage here today.
Towards him. They don't get it. He's off the bag.
There's an example of Santana and a careless young player's mistake. He's got to realize that J.B. Shuck can really run. Look at the time he takes here. Takes a couple of steps, a shuffle, throws it off the mark, and J.B. gets a base hit.
He'll take it.
Even though Shuck doesn't play very much. In the defensive meetings, they go over who can run and which guys you have to get rid of the ball the quickest. Shuck is one of those guys.
Here's Tyler.
With a runner first and one out, Sox have played it at least 20% of the time. Twins pitchers have given one up 24% of the time, with the league average at 25. Of course, what it doesn't take into consideration when you look at one out and a runner at first base, when you're looking at percentages, how fast is that man at first base? Is it going to be a slow running catcher? Is it going to be a speed burner? Is it going to be a base stealing specialist? In this case with Shuck, he can run.
Oh, he just missed it. He got a cookie and just missed it. Dadgummit. Robinson comes in to make catch. 2 down.
That's a hanging curveball.
Man.
And when you get one hanging up in the strike zone, a lot of times they go out of the ballpark. That time he popped it straight up.
Well, the biggest thing about that play by Santana, whether it's been an error or a hit, is it gives us a chance to turn our lineup over with just 2 innings to go. Gap out there in right center. If Carlos can find it. $38,714.
And it's great to look around and see this ballpark jammed to the rafters with the standing room only crowd.
That pitch at the bottom of the zone. It had the zone, so 0-1 to count.
Of course, it would be awfully nice to give them something to cheer about in the late going. We know how good the Sox have been securing leads that they've had after 7 innings. They're 16-0.
That's low. 1-1.
Sox have tried to steal 1 base against Suzuki, and they were unsuccessful as he gunned down Ramirez in the second. So now it's Aaron Thompson, who got a loss tacked on him yesterday, who's joined Presley in the pen.
Big pitch here, the 1-1. So now May has the advantage. Ball and 2 strikes. Finale tomorrow afternoon. Make your plans to be with us. That'll be Jose Quintana against Kyle Gibson. And if you can't make it, that game will be over Comcast Sports Net. So a decent lead. That's the question of where Robin wants to roll the dice and have maybe a couple of leadoff guys starting us off next inning.
Long set by May. He does not go. And the count evens at 2.
Not a bad idea to send him here. The pitch that May has used as his wipeout pitch today has been the curveball. Suzuki looking over in the dugout to see if he wants to call a slide step to speed up May, so he limits the time it takes him to get the ball to the plate.
He does not go, and he just does get a piece on the fastball.
Adam Eaton certainly hoping that this inning is kept alive.
Adam is 2 for 3. RBI triple, run scored, and a single. And that's flipped into the seats for a souvenir. And after tomorrow's game, one tough road trip coming up.
A 3 with Toronto, and the Blue Jays, who are not off to a great start, still playing very well in their ballpark. And then the doubleheader, the makeup doubleheader in Baltimore, followed by 3 with Houston and 3 with the suddenly offensive Texas Rangers.
They are putting some points on the board like they did today. 15-4, they beat the Yankees.
That was at Yankee Stadium. And in their own park, they're starting to hit the ball. Now, the pitching has been sketchy, but the offense has come to life.
As he gets him, off speed, and we're into the 8th.
Chris Sale has 10 strikeouts, the 20th time in his career a double-digit strikeout game. And Abreu still looking to extend that 17-game hitting streak. That's brought to you by the Honda Dream Garage Sales Event, now at your Honda dealer.
20 strikeouts in this game. May with 10 and Chris with 10. Dozier. May has 9 strikeouts. 19 strikeouts.
Check in during your visit to U.S. Cellular Field using MLB.com Ballpark to unlock offers and rewards. It's the official U.S. Cellular Field Ballpark app. Perfectly complements your trip to the ballpark with maps, mobile check-in, seat upgrades, and more. Download MLB.com Ballpark today or visit WhiteSox.com/ballpark app to learn more.
Robinson 1 for 3 with an RBI. Change up.
Dan Jennings and Jake Petrichka. See Mark Salas. He's in your picture. He's acting as the bullpen coach today.
That's the can of corn.
And Bobby Thigpen is acting as a pitching coach as Don Cooper is away. Got a graduation in the family. So everybody shifts up another position.
First baseman Trevor Plouffe 1 for 3 with an RBI. This inning in, they scored 2 in the second. We scored 1 in the second. They scored 2 in the third. We scored 2 in the third. Then the shadows came. And once the shadows come, chances are not going to be a whole bunch of scoring. Especially with Chris's breaking ball and then that good curveball that Trevor May has been throwing.
Plouffe is thinking about hitting the ball out of the ballpark. He's very strong. He realizes it's a one-run game and they could use some insurance.
Well, if he's not thinking that, then he's not thinking right.
He needs to let it all go if Chris will oblige by getting it middle in. Just as soon stay away here at the 106 pitch mark.
Every guy that has power like Plouffe, when he gets up there, nobody on 2 out is thinking about taking it out. There's a changeup.
Perfect pitch. He kept it low and away. It was a fastball situation. Plouffe squeezing the sawdust out of the bat and gives him that soft change low and away, and you'll see where it pops up in Xfinity pitch tracks.
And rushes that one at 94. In on the hands. That's 2 tough pitches right there. Just got a piece of it.
I'm not sure how he did. That was a fastball. Not only was 95, but it was a good 4 or 5 inches off the outside corner. You'll see where the number 7 appears. Plouffe does a good job of extension of just getting a piece of it.
Uh-oh. He came close. He made a mistake right there and got away with it on that change. You could see he gave that one away. That's one of the few he's done that. Fortunately, he got it off the end and hooked it foul.
Fortunately, this high change was well out away from Plouffe. That one hangs over the middle, and that is the home run.
Payoff. First walk of the ball game.
In the second inning, our 4th drive of the game is a home run by Torrey Hunter. His 7th of the year, his 25th driven in. And at the time, it made it a 1-0 game.
He put a little top hand on it. Want to know the count to the ageless wonder. Torrey Hunter.
Pretty good numbers when you look at him straight across. 282 and the 25 driven in.
Into right field, Jimmy Shuck. And we'll go to the bottom of the 8th. We got 6 outs to get at least one.
Thompson coming in. He was in last night's game. He walked one. That walk eventually scored, costing him his first loss of the year. So Thompson on for the 22nd time. He's been a busy man.
So May was impressive. There's that ball deep into right center field. And look at the play by Aaron Hicks. Look at the play by Aaron Hicks.
Second time in as many days that Aaron Hicks has literally perpetrated highway robbery. This looks like it's going to be the second triple by Adam Eaton. Here's our Xfinity Speed replay as Hicks comes out of nowhere, dives, makes the catch. Wow.
If he hits the ground and that ball comes out, that's got a chance to be an inside to Parker.
Speed replay is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports.
That's the first rule in baseball. You got to catch the ball, and catch it he can. That got it. So here's Cabrera. High and wide. What a play. That is a stellar play. And there's a strike.
Elky's really struggled from the right side this year, hoping to turn things around. But hitting .081, 3 for 37 as a right-hand hitter.
Abreu on deck. Chopper and Dozier playing in perfectly. And 2 out.
Could very well be the last opportunity for Jose to extend that hitting streak, but he's not going to do it against Thompson. Paul Molitor, the first-year skipper, wants the righty-righty advantage. So, as Thompson runs out, We'll step out and be back after these messages. Official White Sox debit card. Only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/White Sox to learn more. Wintrust, member FDIC. And Blaine Boyer comes into the game at 1-1. His ERA a little under 2.5 on for the 21st time. And he's going head to head with a man who wants to extend that hitting streak.
They got a shift on for him. He's got plenty of room on the right side. But right here, I don't think he's thinking much about that hitting. I think he's thinking about trying to tie this ball game up. 2 out, nobody on.
Looking for number 7. He's hit 6 of them previously. Boyer originally out of the Braves organization. 3rd pick.
Big gap in left center. Right at the first baseman, who's playing way off Trevor Plouffe. Meanwhile, we're into the 9th. We need 1 to tie.
Our Mazda replay is the afternoon of Chris Sale, who went 8 innings, gave up 4 runs on 5 hits, struck out 10, walked only 1. He was in command most of the time, Had some early problems, gave up 2 home runs in the second, a couple more runs in the third. That was it. But he'll leave trailing this one after a fine job. Giving way to Jake Petrichka. He's 0-1, his ERA 3.86, on for the 14th time. Opponents hitting 3.19, but that was largely when he came back off the disabled list. Lately, the sinker's been working very well, and he's throwing a lot of ground balls.
Yeah, Chris was good. That error in the third inning cost him. Started off. He scored 2 runs that inning. As there is ball 1 to Suzuki. Kurt is 0 for 2. He also was hit by a pitch. Two 2-0 the count. And once again, a reminder, make your plans to be with us tomorrow. Finale of this 3-game set and the 7-game homestand. Jose Quintana against Kyle Gibson. So if he can't make it to the ballpark, that game will be over Comcast Sportsnet. As there's a line drive softly, and it's going to fall for a base hit. That'll bring up Eduardo Escobar. 0 for 3.
It'll be interesting because you got the bottom part of the order coming up, and Escobar normally a good handler of the bat, so for Paul Molitor he's got a couple of different decisions. One, he can either bunt with Escobar, who does not have a sacrifice this year, or a hit and run is always a good play.
He also has the option of Joe Mauer on deck.
That's a good option to have. That option brings Jennings into the game, depending on the outcome of this at bat.
That'll get the job done. So with Dozier on deck, after Mauer comes up to the plate and is announced, let's see what Robin wants to do.
Well, the problem with the sacrifice there, as we saw, and it was a good sacrifice, is that you can pitch around Mauer.
I mean, I checked it as Nunez on deck. And they're going to put him on. Aaron Hicks, the on-deck hitter, is 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts.
Glenn Perkins, their closer, throwing in the pen, and there you see problems with a sacrifice when you have one of the best hitters in baseball in a pinch hitting role, but you've just opened up first base. So now you leave it to Hicks and Santana, barring a double play.
Jacks it up, and Aaron takes strike 1. Outfield for the most part straight up, bit of a gap out there in left center. And that's a souvenir left side. So very quickly 0-2 the count.
Hicks would certainly love to contribute offensively, but his contributions have been 2 spectacular plays in center field. One last night and one here today. And if they do hang on to win, that would be the game saver.
All right. Back him up. Yes. We'll go to the bottom of the ninth. We need one to tie.
You can watch real-time highlights, live look-ins, and more. MLB.TV Premium includes a free at-bat 15 subscription. You can watch at home, in the office, or on the go. Blackout and other restrictions apply. So visit MLB.TV for details. And now, the closer comes into the ball game, and it's Glenn Perkins. His ERA 140, 15 for 15 in save opportunities. One of the big reasons why the Twins are sitting in third place. He's got a pretty good fastball, much better than in the days when he was starting, and he'll look in at Adam LaRoche to lead it off.
So the Mark Burley lookalikes, first pitch, taken for a strike. Adam, 1 for 3, a double high off the wall in right center field. Then he came around to score. That ball deep in left field. Robinson shading his eyes right at the track. And that's out number 1. 4-6-0 for them, 3-6-1 for us.
He gave it a good ride, and with left field, bright sunshine obscuring every move, Robinson did a nice job of shielding it and catching it. And Gordon Beckham comes out to pinch hit.
Gordon has seen Perkins pretty well. Breaking ball strike. He's faced him 18 times, has 6 hits, 5 of which stayed in the park.
As a pinch hitter last night, he drew the walk and wound up scoring the winning run. That coming in the 8th inning.
One and one to count. Right here. One and two.
Gordon looking for a fastball, just didn't get it.
Two down. And it's up to Alexei, who's 1 for 3 with an RBI. Alexei, 8 for 31 lifetime off Perkins with a home run. 0-1 to count.
Perkins has exceptional control. And that's one of the things that makes him as effective as he is. He's walked 1 in 20 innings.
Trying to pick up his 16th save. Outfielder deep in a no double set. Spread out. Just got a piece of it. And some of the Twin players out on the field already. Out of the dugout. Keep it going, Alexa. That's short out there to center field, and Dozier can't make the play. So he does keep it going. You'll take it.
One of the advantages of a no double set, the outfield is going to play about 10 steps deeper than normal. That allows a whole lot of room to fall in front of him, and the only guy who could have made the play was Brian Dozier. He's looking back over his shoulder and most likely looking up into the sunshine as he hits that spot right there. And as he turns around the opposite way, he loses track, and the Sox still alive.
So here's Shuck. He takes strike one. And it evens. Tyler Flowers on deck. Jose Garcia nursing that very sore right knee. Could not lay off the breaking ball, and now we are down to our last bullet. 2 out, 1 and 2 the count. A little bit high. Chevy just did get a piece of it.
Tried to heat him upstairs at 95. When Perkins was starting, that fastball was in the low 90s, and that's about what he got it up to the whole performance. But since moving in the bullpen and becoming one of the premier closers in all of baseball, he's added a good 3 miles an hour consistently to that fastball.
2-2 pitch, no.
Well, you'd love to get it to 3-2 for the simple reason that representing the tying run at 3-2, Alexi's going to take off, making it a little easier to score on anything between the outfielders who are deep all the way around in that no double set.
Now Alexi just goes ahead, and now the tying run at second.
Because they were holding him on, it is a stolen base. And maybe a costly one if JB can find a place to nestle in a base hit.
Payoff pitch. And that's ball 4, and here comes Tyler. Good at bat for Shuck.
Going to take Kurt Suzuki out from behind the plate to have a word with Perkins.
Tyler has a hit against him. He's 1 for 7.
It's take advantage of a rare occurrence. Just the second walk of the year by Glenn Perkins.
Out in front of that breaking ball. One time, 21.
There it was. Could not pull the trigger.
They looked at a slow breaking ball on the first pitch, and they looked at 95 on the inside corner. Suzuki wants it there, and Perkins fills up the glove in the perfect spot.
0-2. And this ball game is over. So Doug Eddings rings him up, and the Twins square up this series at a game apiece. They win it 4-3, and we'll be back.